All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday, everybody. My name is Carlos Garcia. I'm the founder and CEO of GAR Capital. It is October 1st, 2023. This is our market recap. Glad to be with you this morning and every weekend. The reason I didn't do this video yesterday is we had some headlines yesterday regarding the government shutdown. I wanted that to all be clear to make sure that we had the latest news and information so we can provide our analysis for the week upcoming. If you haven't heard already, the government shutdown was averted yesterday. Let's go to the market blog. And you can see here, this is yesterday at 3. I usually do the video, around 11, 12 noon. So again, I decided not to, which was a good idea because we got some headlines coming in. So futures are not open. They're open at 6. So we'll see how the reaction to the market is. I expect us to move higher. Probably to the same levels that we were yesterday prior to the threat of a government shutdown. So let's go over the headlines together. Hours ahead of the deadline for a federal government shutdown, the House has passed a short-term spending bill. The stopgap funding measure now heads to the Senate. Looks like no shutdown at the moment. Should be good for stocks. That was my part of the analysis, I guess. If you look at the market blog, and again, if you guys want access, take a look at the description in the YouTube. There's a website link. That's our link. Click on that. Click on free plan. Again, you can be part of GAR Capital without paying for anything. You can always follow our social media, Instagram and Twitter for all the news and headlines. You can also be here on YouTube. This will always be free for everybody. Subscribe and like our videos. And of course, the Discord live market blog. So again, when you have the little loudspeaker, that's a headline. That's when I usually put a headline. And then when I don't write any kind of emoji in front of it, that's more of my analysis. So again, kind of differentiate, just a heads up. Here's the announcement of 335 to 91 vote to avert a government shutdown at midnight. Bill extends funding for 45 days at current levels until November 17th. 2/3, 284 votes were needed for passage. It now heads to the Senate. There have been 5 government shutdowns since 1995. The S&P 500 traded positive during each one with an average return of 3.2%. And the most recent government shutdown, which was the longest in 30 years, saw the S&P trade higher by more than 10%. That was from bar chart. We got the deal done. The Senate will approve the House stopgap bill. Senator Murphy says it was signed by President Biden. So again, at least we just kicked the can down the line, at least for now. We'll see what Congress does, but at least that should be at least some kind of relief bounce for stocks. Nick also put the watch list ahead on watches and charts tab. That's here for premium and masterclass members, so it's all here. If you guys are interested, we'll make sure to put a couple of them for you guys on the blog so you guys can see what's coming up. Good morning, everybody. Last one that we had in terms of the names that we were watching over the week last on Sunday. And what a difference from last week to this week, right? Last week was pretty tough. We were hurting a little bit, talking about, man, this is a tough one. This is a tough week, but we'll get better. And this week was better. So well done. Let me go ahead and get to the actual deal here. That was watches and charts. I just want to show you guys that we actually posted it on the watch list. Let's see if I can find it. See if I can find it here. Let me go to the market blog. I apologize for kind of scrolling for a bit. But again, I wanted to show you guys that this was something that we were talking about. And we talked about it on Discord. Bear with me a second while I look. A lot of news, of course, as we know. Gotta always post. Keep you guys informed. That's the key. That's what's about GAR Capital, giving you a chance to be informed with the information that you need to profit. Now, sometimes I understand some of this news. You're probably like, what does this mean? Shoot me a DM. Shoot me a DM. Tag me. We will explain. The assumption is that if you don't ask a question, you understand. It's kind of like class back in the day. Let's see, 26th. Let's see if I can find it here. Bear with me a second, guys. I know I post a lot, which is very, very important. is it? 25th? I can find it. Bear with me a second. I think we're almost there. It's such a scroll. Just to scroll, 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 and find it. I really want to show you guys. Here we go. Again, we post charts all the time. Let me see if I can find the exact date. Bear with me a second. Last Sunday was the 24th. That's why. So let's keep scrolling. We're on the 20th. So let's see. 21. Let's see. 21. 24th was a Sunday. So 22. We did the video, I remember. That was the week. Give you guys the updates here on the head and shoulders pattern on the Apple. Choppy tape, if I can find it. Here we go. 9:24 at 8:52 p.m. This is Sunday night. Apple below 173 for us. We can play the 170 to 165 puts, targeting the gap fill. Support at 165. We can play calls above 180. So that was a great trade because we sent it. The 170 puts, 95 cents, got 41%, got as high as 180%. This is our spreadsheet for the week. So we're getting straight to it. I just wanted to show you guys that it was also on the live market blog. We also talked about Bank of America, but we didn't fill that. If you go to Watch This and Charts and you want a little more of a deep dive, a little more information, this is for Premium and Masterclass. Let's go to that date. We're going to go to the 24th. You can see the Apple call. How about AMD from Nick? Closing in on support here. If this holds, we can make a decision. Above 98, we can play the 100 calls. Played the 100 calls. Got as high as 338%. 40% profit. Got in the money as well. Both. Well done. Google, Bank of America, and the rest we did not trade. But we kept you guys up to date. How about the 26th of September? 26th of September was a Tuesday. See the 4-hour chart. 173.70 was the first level of support, which broke down, which was the 170.170 being target August lows. 169.87 is your 61.8 gap, 61.8 fib. 166 is the gap fill. 165.81 is the 200 MA on the 4-hour. And you could see that this was sent. We were not in the money. Took a little bit of time. 173.04. There's your support break. Here is our target, 170.170. We broke below it. We also have gaps to fill to the upside. So we'll see if we get a turnaround on Apple. But it was an excellent trade. We kept tracking it for you guys, even pre-market, keeping you guys up to date, keeping you guys informed. It's not just we're just throwing stuff on the board. We're going to update you every step of the way. What the idea of GAR Capital, at least for me and the blog, is to answer questions before you ask them. I always try to put myself in the place of your shoes. What would our members want to know when stocks are red? What do you want to know? Why it's red. When stocks are green, what are we doing to take advantage? That's kind of the back and forth that we get. Apple was pulling back. We had Apple puts. It didn't happen immediately. Took some time. Take a look at the Premium Signals group. And you could see here, every day, we keep you guys up to date with a recap. So let's take a look at it. We filled Apple on the 26th. That was a Tuesday. Monday, we didn't have anything open. The 170 puts got 21%, got as high as 32%. Remember, we had some issues before with flips or reversals when we're like right around 30%. I want you to remember this. Notes, and this is what I wrote at 4:06 p.m. on the 26th. Again, that's a Tuesday. A slow melting down today as we actually had meaningful continuation to the downside. Amazon flip from yesterday's price action. Glad we didn't play calls. I was watching Amazon, and I was watching, I believe, Microsoft and Netflix. There was 3. Let's see what happens overnight. Some bad news, and bond yields can continue to go up. Apple in the money by tomorrow. I wrote that on the 26th. 40% on the 27th. Puts green. Remember, we were 30%. We got 40. And then it continued to go. 60%. And then in the money, like we said, the day after. 26th. In the money. Right there. Just take some patience. So what if you would have closed early? 30%, right? You're probably thinking to yourself, well, all is good. And that's okay. But then if you're not willing to hold a little bit, guys, you're not going to get the big gains. It's just how it goes. Now, again, I don't mind either way if you get 100, 200%. If you do, great. I'd rather have the runner do that. I just want to be consistent, 40 to 50%. Want to get my base hits. and I'll let my runner hit the home runs. I'll let my cleanup hitter do the rest. 100% is cool. Nick held it. Good for him. I did not. I closed mine 40%. I left a runner. And I got to 100%. I left it. And then I closed it. But I should have taken 300, obviously. Hindsight being 2020. But the most important thing, this is why I like doing what I do. The members killing it. This is my favorite flex. When you guys are winning, bags go to the trophy room. AMD calls. I got a bag on it. AMD calls was excellent. We'll go over that here in a second. Let's see if I can get the Apple one here. MES, Apple. Here we go. Close that Apple. Well done here. Catching some profit. $915 total market value. P&L. 387.32 in terms of unrealized. Well done. Well done, guys. And you see 64% on Apple as well. Apple options are up 20%. I love those notifications from Robinhood. Robinhood may annoy me sometimes, I'll be honest, because their fills are absolutely terrible. I've been going back and forth with AMD, with TOS and Robinhood, because Robinhood does charge in terms of not commissions, but fees. So if I'm going to pay fees anyways, I'd rather just go TOS. But again, I'll go back and forth for you guys. TOS has better fills, but I know you guys like Robinhood. So again, I can go back and forth. It really doesn't matter. You guys know what time it is. But this is what makes a difference in the business. This is what makes me happy. This is what really makes me feel like, damn, we're doing something great here. Because last week was tough, and this week we did better. 2 for 2. So Apple, we just went over, and again, I broke it down as we went. AMD was a real banger. Let's take a look at the premium signals. AMD, we had that on the watch list. Apple went in for a bag, as we know. AMD went absolutely on fire. 40% AMD. I put the screenshot there. AMD calls and Apple puts were both in the money on the same week. That is very rare, so I'm glad we caught that. Kept you guys up to date. Got as high as 338% on the 28th. In the money on AMD. Let's see where we closed. And it closed in the money. 102.62. Fell back on Friday, really to the government shutdown. So well done to the team, AMD and Apple. We have one more trade open, IWM. And if we get a gap up tomorrow, that'd be great, because that'll get us to 179.82, the gap fill. That's what we're playing, the 180s. We are red currently, and again, most of this is the government shutdown. We'll probably recheck this as we got at least stop gap funding and see if we get to 180.26, which is my target. And again, guys, as always, every single trade that we send is explained for you guys on the watch list and charts. IWM 1 hour chart, again, broke it down. We broke down the 1 hour chart. We did this one as well. Russell 2000 futures we traded. Well done for the team. Futures were great. Nick is going to go over the futures this evening with you guys. So again, I'm just going over the option side. So 2 for 2. Well done. Let's go ahead and go over some numbers together. IWM, we have open the 180 call. So again, that's going to be an October deal. Let's go to the month. How did we do this month? We finished the month. We finished the quarter. Here we go. 7 out of 12. If we would have gotten IWM for 30%, let's just say it did hit high as 30%, we would be right around 61%, 61.5. Not the best in terms of the month. It was actually the worst month of the year. And we didn't trade much. It was the lowest amount of trading we did for the month. And it was the lowest in terms of percentage. We did end the month red if you did not have runners. Now again, you can't really depend on that. Everyone is different. So I want to show you guys here on performance. Here's the month to date for the S&P 500. And again, that's kind of how I want to really say to myself, okay, what am I trying to do here? We want to try to generate alpha. We want to generate gains. And how do we do that? You got to beat the S&P. So let's go to month to date. This is wrong. Let me see if I can get this going. Day, okay, that's month. So this is wrong. See, September 30th to 11th, so I have to change it. We're going to go from, let's see if I can go September 1. Let's see, we'll go to monthly. We'll go to September 1, 2023. No, that's not what I wanted. let's see, September 2023, October 23. So 1, and then September 30th. I don't know what happened here. So let's do this. Make life easier. S&P 500 monthly return to date, September 2023. All right, 2 days ago, September 2023, we fell 4.9% for September, 4.9%. Now, if we compare that to ours, based on a $10,000 port, $500 risk, you're down about 9%. So in terms of percentage, yes, we are below, but we are actually doing better than the S&P in a larger time scale. Let's take a look at August. August, remember we talked about that as well, red, but again, 3 trades were reversals. We had reversals as well, 1, 2, and 3. So 3 of these were reversals. If we take away those 3, we're 7 out of 9. And that's without even gaining profit from them. Let's say we just didn't send them. We'd be pretty good. We're actually really good. But those reversals are killer. July really helped the quarter. 30 out of 37, 81%. We had the streak of all streaks. 17% gain, $1,728%, $1,728 if you just did the trades based on what we got out. Again, no runners included. A lot of notes. So if you didn't do 1 runner, that's where you are. And again, everyone's different. Quarter 3, 52 out of 71, 73%. I really wanted 80, but September was kind of tough. We ended the actual quarter green without runners. So again, if you do, great. If you don't, that's fine. But you are still green. So if we consider that, let's see, S&P 500, Q3 quarter to date. Let's do quarter to date here on the S&P since I don't know why that's not working. The, what is this called? Koifin. Down 3.65% for the quarter. That's the S&P 500. Yet we eked out a gain of 1.2%. So alpha generated, well done, at least that. So that's our quarter. We turned the page. If we compare it to Q2, which was a much better quarter, about 23% gain, 75%. And then Q1, 3,100. So 2 back-to-back double-digit gains for the quarter. The third quarter being relatively flat. I'm ready for Q4. Q4 is when we hit it. We know that seasonally Q4 is better and stronger for equities, especially in a pre-presidential year, presidential election year, excuse me. I think we're going to do great. I'm very excited for what's to come. So let's end the year on a good note. Let's see if IWM starts our October off. We're going to be careful. We're going to keep doing the same thing that we're doing. The really only problem that we have, or headwind that we face, are those kind of reversals that we get, which is really out of our control. So we've been hitting targets across the board. We know where we're going. That's the deal. We know where we're going. We know our targets. You can see really good levels of in the money. You know, 2 of these trades were in the money, JP Morgan and Microsoft, and they reversed. If you take those 2 off, we're 7 out of 10, 70%, and you're still green for the quarter. So it's the little things that we need to kind of wrap up and keep up. The only one that I regret, well, in terms of, man, that was a loss that shouldn't have been a loss, was the IWM small caps that we did last Friday. Not the Friday that just passed, last Friday, when I bought it from the same day, the next day, thinking that we're going to get that momentum. We did not get that momentum, but we learned from our mistakes. What did we do? We filled it for next week. So again, we bought time, and we're probably going to catch it. So we learn from our mistakes, thankfully. That's the idea. Get better over time. Okay, so that's our week. That's our quarter. That's our month. Let's go over. Get this out of here. We're going to go to Forex Factory, and we're going to take this away here. Let's lower this here. All right, Forex Factory. Here we are for the economic data for the week. Keep in mind, the 13th of October is earnings season. That's when that starts. So just a heads up. Monday, ISM manufacturing PMI, ISM manufacturing prices at 10. Fed Chair Powell will speak on Monday, oh boy, 11 a.m. due to participate in a roundtable discussion with workers, small business owners, and community leaders in York. Audience questions expected. We'll see. JOLTS job opening, private payrolls on Wednesday. ISM manufacturing PMI. We have OPEC, so let's keep an eye on crude. That's right around 90 currently. I'm sure Nick will talk about that on the future side. Average hourly earnings, 0.3% is the expectation. Non-farm payroll change, 168,000 jobs added. Unemployment rate expected to be at 3.7%. And then FOMC Waller will speak. So that's what we got for the weekend. Jobs number on Friday being the big one. Powell speaking on Monday. Who knows what he's going to say. One thing I want to go over rather quickly is the AMD trade. I want to go and show that because it's always a really good one. I want to make sure that you guys learn from it. So, AMD chart on the daily. I also talked about this. I said eyes up on AMD, 10:30 on the 27th, time stamped. And I said, look at this. Look at the volume, 19,000, 19,000, 19,000. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Look at the daily, bouncing off that 200-day. That was that red line here. And you had a gap to fill here at 100. Let's look at it together. Gap filled, $100.36. Continued higher, and you're slightly above the 20. You know what that means when you're above the 20-day moving average. Momentum is shifting higher. Now, what do we do in terms of AMD? Well, you got a couple of options here. You can wait for the 50-day MA to break, which is right around 107.04, or you can wait for 109.51. That gets us out of this range here, and see if you can target 115.91. So keep an eye on that carefully. NVIDIA was something I was talking about with the team. Bounced off that 100-day moving average right below the 20. We're going to keep that in our back pocket as well. How about Tesla? Above the 100-day moving average. Remember, we're like, wow, that's pretty much of a coincidence there. I like Tesla for more upside. Absolutely. If you can get above 251.41, that's the 50-day MA. And I want to target 262. I'm watching Tesla very, very closely. Let's take a look at Apple. We shorted last time. Where's Apple today? Well, still below the 20, still below the 50, still below major moving averages. We did not fill this gap at 166.95, so be careful. Maybe if we can get it below 169.42, we can get a crack at the 165 puts, but I think I'm more likely we'll skip that. If anything, I'm looking to more upside because we got some gaps to fill here at 182 and around 190. Let's take a look at Amazon together. If we can get above here, 129.39 or 132, you got a gap to fill here at 135. 132 break would confirm the move, in my opinion. 129.34 would be the 100-day moving average recapturing. So let's wait for 132.41. We'll play the gap fill to 135. Let's take a look at Google. Again, I'm just going by the tech names. Fill that gap. You need to get above the 20. Let's put an alert there together. 135.24. And I talked about this last week. I was expecting bearishness, remember? And then I talked about last week on YouTube about reversals, to how everyone is so short. And again, that's not a good thing when everyone's on one side of the boat. You're not going to get value on puts when everyone's buying puts. I equate buying puts in a down market to betting on the Kansas City Chiefs in the fourth quarter to win the game when they're up by 14 and about 2 minutes left. It's anything that's more than likely going to happen. It's going to be more expensive in terms of odds making, in terms of market making. So think about that. If everyone is short, if everyone's betting on Kansas City to win, again, the value isn't there. This is why reversals pay more. So if you had a game like Kansas City versus whoever team, Buffalo, and you put $100 that Kansas City on a live bet that they're going to win, money line, say for example, and they're up by 14 against Buffalo at home, 2 minutes left on the clock, you're not going to get a lot of value. You'd have to put a lot of money in to make something out, right? Same thing with puts on that level. When you're having VIX so high and everyone is so bearish, it costs more. Same thing on the opposite side of calls. When we were boosting in 2021, if you remember, all-time highs, calls were very expensive. What was cheap was puts, because anything that's less likely to happen is going to be cheaper, and anything that is more likely to happen, and there's more bets onto it or more money into it, value goes higher in terms of the cost. But the value isn't there for a trader. So again, you're always kind of looking for a reversal. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The best thing would be continuation. So you use your charts to actually see the continuation of the move. But again, it was a very difficult way to short in that low sentiment of an environment. Now that we have the stopgap funding. Now we have the government not shutting down, as an example. That's the expectation, at least until what, the 14th or the 15th of November. We have seasonality absolutely coming, but we may not be out of the woods yet. Look at October. We usually get a spike right around until when? Let's say the 7th, the 8th, and then we get a pullback a little bit. So about a 2% pullback is expected in the middle of the month. It's not guaranteed, but just be ready. Maybe we get a push a little higher. Maybe people get excited. Puts get cheap again. Maybe the VIX falls to around 14, 13. Remember we talked about VIX. You buy insurance when you don't need it. You buy it when you don't need it. You buy it when it's cheap. That's kind of the expectation. You know, you don't buy insurance and the house is already burning. You want to buy it ahead of time, so just in case it happens, you're not paying out of pocket, for example. So a lot of moving parts in the market, but that's how it works in terms of market making and day trading. Again, the less likely the approach, the less likely the scenario, the cheaper that is. But it might be more value if it happens. But things that you're betting on or you're trading on that is more likely to happen, whether it's momentum too, it gets pricier. Again, if the stock moves in your favor and you have calls, those options are going to go higher. And then you also have the inverse. If you go short or buy puts, it's the same thing. But staying short is a difficult endeavor. Why? Because it doesn't last very long. Historically speaking, you don't stay down for years. You kind of chop around for a minute. So it's really important to kind of find those markers and those little hints of the market that gives you confirmation that we're breaking down or we should stay breakdown. And you also have to be extremely careful on what you're doing, of course, in terms of position sizing. Always understand, position sizing is the difference between, oh shit, to, oh well, that's position sizing. And that's why it's important to have the correct position size for you. Don't bet the ranch on anything. There's no such thing in trading, guys, as a sure thing. As you know, you can see our results, and no such thing as a sure thing. The fact that we are doing what we're doing, I'm very proud of what we do. We can get better, but perfection is not to be expected, and it's very difficult to have. But we'll do the best we can to give you the right setups and tell you where to fish. They are signals. Remember, we're telling you which pond and which area the fish are biting. How many fish you collect or actually catch is really up to you. It's all information, guys. We'll go ahead and leave it there. Thank you guys so much for joining me this early morning on a Sunday. You guys are probably heading out to church, breakfast, or hanging out. You can watch this video at any time at your leisure today, maybe after football, maybe Monday morning. It's fine. Again, the information is for you. I thank you very much for being part of this journey with me and enjoying all the information and analysis. I love to do it for you guys. Have a great rest of your morning. Have a great rest of your weekend. We will see you guys tomorrow. We'll recap it all, talk about futures, and get you started for the week. Monday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe if you like these videos. Comment any of your questions. Love to hear from you guys. Thank you guys again. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the YouTube channel. Cheers.